Thank you.
Is that a JEWELLERY?
Good eye.
Thanks. I love men's watches. It's kind of a hobby.
You know, sometimes I get self-conscious about it, but my grandfather made it, so.
Oh, your grandfather designs watches?
The family business. Yeah, my mother's maiden name is Lecoutre.
Shut up.
Hey guys, ArchieLuxury on the ArchieLuxury channel. And have you ever worn a wristwatch which has impressed a lady? Have you ever worn a beautiful timepiece and attracted some comments from the fairer sex? This is a very interesting question. I love the excerpt from Bad Teacher. I would have done anything to impressed Cameron Diaz. It's an interesting thing. Wristwatches are really a men's type of thing. I really do love timepieces, and we like to think that they would increase our chances with busty women, good-looking women. But I'm afraid to answer, guys, that no, wristwatches haven't really done it for me with the ladies. That's right, guys. I've had a number of beautiful high-end wristwatches, but I've never really impressed terribly many people by wearing them. They're more of a men's type of collectible. I must say, my JEWELLERY Reverso Grande, that's just such a stunning watch. Aesthetically, it uses the golden ratio. It's absolutely perfect with a power reserve, 2-disc date, and sub-seconds. I think this is horological pornography. It's just absolutely beautiful. This is a to die for piece with Art Deco numerals. But unfortunately, guys, having an expensive watch doesn't necessarily increase your chance with the fairer sex. I've owned a number of prestigious luxury watches: Patek Philippe, JEWELLERY, Audemars Piguet, Vacheron Constantin, you name it, I have owned it. There's only been one time when a lady in the know has admired one of my timepieces, and it was when I owned the Patek Philippe 5107 Calatrava, and I basically, this lady, you know, if someone who doesn't know anything about watches says nice watch, yes, that's nice on a sort of superficial level, but you can only really be respected if the person who admires your timepiece actually has a bit of watch training or knowledge. And one time there was a lovely lady who was working at Vintage Watch Co. That's the Sydney retailer. And I happened to have my Calatrava on my wrist, and I also had my annual calendar with me. This was a number of years ago, and I remember I was having a bit of a discussion, and I remember saying, "Is there what watch do you think is best?" And she being a person who works in the watch trade and knows different things of beauty, said, "Oh, I really do love your white gold Calatrava," and that's the only time that I've really been impressed with a lady who's noticed one of my watches. And I gotta be completely honest with you. Completely honest with you. I mean, you walk into a retail store, and you really take heed in the compliments, the shallow compliments that are thrown your way? Can you really? I mean, you walk into a watch store, and they're trying to sell you something. They really are trying to sell you a wristwatch. They want your money, and they don't really want to give you a discount. They want to sell you another timepiece. So when you walk into a prestige luxury wristwatch dealer or store, is it really worth anything if a compliment comes your way? That is the question there. Is it really worth anything if a compliment does come your way? And I gotta be completely honest, these are sort of shallow remarks. I mean, well, I've worked in retail, and we're always trained to hone in on something the person's wearing or has, and compliment them, their hair or their jewelry or something like that. This is sort of standard form in the retail arena. So someone says, "Oh, nice watch." Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a shallow compliment. It's kind of, "Oh yeah, thank you. Now I'm going to pay full retail and buy something hideously expensive because you've given me a stroke. You've stroked my ego. You've stroked my ego." And I think compliments are cool. I love someone says to me, "Hey, that's a really nice watch." I do enjoy it. But if they're just saying it because it's a retail environment, or they're trying to sell you something, I don't know if it really means a lot. And this is the whole thing. It depends on the person who is giving you the compliment. If they are just trying to sell you something, it's kind of futile. It doesn't really mean a great deal. It's got to be said sincerely, with no expectations of you buying or doing something like that. And I mean, that's the important thing. I've my most expensive watch at the moment is my Patek World Time. That's the 5110 World Time. I really do love that watch, but it really hasn't garnered that many compliments from the lady folk. And I mean, this is a wristwatch. If you went into a Patek dealer to buy a World Time in this day and age, it's 60. In Australia, it's $63,000 retail. This is a $63,000 type of, the replacement model for this would be 63,000. And yeah, it's kind of, you'd think, hey, that would get a lot of compliments, but it's a very discreet thing. I didn't buy it to get compliments. I bought it for myself. I never buy things to get compliments from people who don't love luxury. And I gotta tell you, the funny thing is, sometimes it's the lesser expensive pieces in your collection which you tend to get compliments on. My Breitling Super Ocean, it's not the most expensive luxury watch I've got. It's not a cheap luxury watch. It's quite expensive. But that piece itself there has got a few compliments. It's because it's sort of oversized. It's 42 mil, but that's kind of large compared to the other pieces I wear. It's highly polished surface, and it's a very trendy piece with the shark mesh and ceramic bezel. It kind of gets a bit of commentary, but I don't have people come up to me in the street and say, "Wow, that's a beautiful watch." People don't really say that. They don't really say that in this day and age. And it's quite funny. I remember one time I was in Thailand, and I was wearing my Patek Philippe 5035 annual calendar, and I went into a bar in Nana, and I remember having a bit of a conversation with a lady there, and I said, "Oh, this is a very expensive wristwatch. It's 1,000,000 baht." And she looked at my annual calendar, Patek Philippe, and she said, "No, that's not expensive watch." And to her, it wasn't an expensive watch. It was nothing special. It was a little bit, very, very discreet, a little bit undersized. It was 37 mil. It was yellow gold, but there's so much gold plating. So how would you know that's solid or plated? And she said, no, that's not an expensive watch. Actually quite insulting. So yeah, that was an interesting encounter. She sort of went over the top to say, no, that's not an expensive. Okay, honey. No, it's what can you say to someone who's so stupid? And I suppose, in all fairness to her, she probably hadn't seen many Patek Philippe annual calendars, hadn't seen many complications or Patek Philippe's in her life of working in the bar. But it just goes to show, pearls to swines, isn't it? It's one of these things. And the important thing is, you buy these things for yourself, not to impress other people. You buy things to impress yourself. And if someone is into horology, I mean, someone who knows nothing about watches, their verdict really isn't worth a pinch of shit, is it? If they know nothing about watches, their opinion isn't really worth a lot. It's really somebody who they have to know fine watches. They have to work in the industry, and that's the only time what they say is worth anything. And if they compliments, we live in this age where compliments are a strange thing, but it is nice. It really does. If you see someone with a beautiful wristwatch on, go and compliment them. Go and say, "Wow, that's a beautiful watch." It makes someone's day in this world of happiness, and everything's so miserable. And if you see someone with a nice watch, why don't you say, "Wow, that's a beautiful watch. I noticed your lovely watch." And that often works out better. I remember one time I saw somebody who had a Submariner Rolex on, and I said, "Wow, what a nice Submariner." He goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And he goes, "Oh, I said, your watch." He goes, "Oh, it's a Rolex." And I said to him, "Yeah, I know it's a Rolex. It's a Rolex Submariner. It's a dive watch." And it was sort of the compliment went over his head. So I got to tell you guys, if you're a Weiss out there and you see a watch in the wild, go and say to somebody, "Hey, that's really beautiful." Make their day, because I like it. If someone says to me, "Hey, that's a beautiful watch," I think that's a nice thing to say. we want to know that the choices we've made in this world are beautiful choices. They're nice things we've chosen. And I think that's just a good way to be. So guys, if you see a nice watch in the wild, just say to them, hey, what a beautiful watch you've got. And don't say what a nice Rolex, what a nice this. I remember one time I was working with a guy. I said, oh, what a nice Rolex GMT, but it was actually a bloody Seiko. I should have said, what a beautiful watch, which is true. I was admiring it. It may be a Seiko, but that's not a problem. Just compliment the wearer, and you know, I think always good to put a nice comment in. What a beautiful watch you're wearing. And that's just a nice thing to say. Just a nice thing to say. It's a good way to go in, and I think that is the cool way to behave. I'm ArchieLuxury. Tell me what you guys think, and remember, guys, if you see a nice watch in the wild, go and say to the person, what a beautiful timepiece, what a beautiful watch you are wearing. ArchieLuxury, signing out. Hi guys. A fan of mine has been inspired to start a wristwatch series of his own. Bitter Poet Madman. That's the name of his channel. And the show is called It's Complicated. That's right, it's complicated. It looks like he has some nice examples. I saw he has a Rolex. Rolex! He recently just got an Omega. He talks watch accessories, does reviews, unboxings, and talks about new and pre-owned wristwatches. Again, the channel name is Bitter Poet Madman. Bitter Poet Madman. So why don't you fuckers let that fucker know what you think of that. Bitter Poet Madman channel.
Hey yo, I'm Bitter Poet Madman, the host of It's Complicated, a wristwatch series. We talk about luxury watches, we talk about affordable watches, we're going to review those watches, we're going to talk about the watch market in general. I'm going to tell you how to get good bargains, I'm going to show you how to find good watches used, I'm going to show you how to find affordable watches new, and how to save money on that grail piece that you're looking at.